Think about your childhood bedroom for a moment. Close your eyes and really try to picture it clearly. What do you see? The wallpaper pattern, the exact placement of furniture, or something softer, warmer, less defined? You are probably not seeing the room as it actually was. You are seeing how it felt to be there. Notice how the proportions seem off when you try to remember childhood spaces. Everything feels both smaller and bigger. The closet where you hid during thunderstorms was probably tiny, but in your memory, it is a vast cave. Your bed wasn't actually a ship sailing through dangerous waters, but your memory preserves that feeling of adventure. This is because your brain isn't a camera recording every detail with perfect clarity and storing it forever. Your brain is a poet, taking the raw material of experience and turning it into something more meaningful. When you remember that bedroom, you are not accessing a file labeled childhood room, age 7, Tuesday morning. You are accessing a feeling labeled safety or comfort, or maybe the place where I felt most myself. Your mind has taken that physical space and transformed it into an emotional landscape you can revisit any time. This transformation happens automatically, without your conscious permission, because it is essential for your psychological survival and growth. Think about the swing set in your backyard, if you had one, or the playground at school. You remember pumping your legs harder and harder, trying to swing so high, you'd flip completely over the top. But what you are really remembering isn't the physics of that metal frame creaking under your weight. You are remembering the feeling of defying gravity, of being untouchable, of believing you could actually fly if you tried. The rust on the chains, the squeaky hinge that needed oil, the way the seat was always too hot, these details fade. What remains is the sensation of soaring, of being briefly suspended between earth and sky with nothing holding you back. This is why childhood memories often feel so vivid, yet so impossible to pin down with specific facts. Your 7-year-old brain didn't have the vocabulary to describe the complex emotions you were experiencing then. So your current brain fills in those gaps, translating feelings into words you understand now. You remember feeling free on that swing, but a 7-year-old doesn't think in terms of freedom versus constraint. A 7-year-old just knows that something about being up there made everything feel possible and right. Your adult brain takes that raw feeling and gives it the language it deserves. Freedom, joy, transcendence. This is why your childhood memories sound more poetic than a child could actually articulate. You are not making anything up. You are finally finding the words for feelings that were always real. The taste of your grandmother's cookies wasn't just sugar and flour, it was the flavor of unconditional love. But your child brain couldn't separate the sensory experience from the emotional context that gave it meaning. Now when you taste something similar, your whole body remembers not just the flavor, but the feeling. The feeling of being someone's favorite person, of having your needs anticipated and met with joy. The feeling of sitting in a kitchen where you belonged completely, where your presence was a gift. These emotional memories are more accurate than any photograph could ever be, because they capture what actually mattered. And this isn't a flaw in your memory system. This is exactly how it is supposed to work. Your brain prioritizes emotional significance over factual accuracy, because feelings are what help you navigate the world. The exact color of your childhood bedroom walls doesn't help you survive or connect with others today, but the feeling of safety you experienced there. That is a treasure map to what you need now. When you walk into a new space and immediately feel at home, your emotional memory is doing its job. It is recognizing patterns of comfort, security, and belonging that your logical brain might miss entirely. Your memory system is constantly scanning for emotional echoes, helping you find your way back to feelings worth preserving. This is why you can remember the emotional tone of a conversation from 20 years ago perfectly. The way your mother's voice softened when she was proud of you, the specific quality of silence before forgiveness. But you can't remember the actual words that were said, even though they seemed so important then. Your brain kept what mattered, how those words made you feel, how they changed something inside you. It discarded the specific syllables and preserved the emotional essence, because that is what you can actually use. When someone speaks to you with that same tone of pride today, your body recognizes it instantly. Your emotional memory guides you toward people and situations that echo the feelings you want more of. This is why returning to childhood places often feels so strange, like they've shrunk in your absence. The place didn't shrink, your perspective expanded, but the feeling that stayed exactly the same size. That disconnect between physical reality and emotional memory isn't disorienting by accident. It is reminding you that the real treasure was never the place itself, but your capacity to feel at home. Here is something that might surprise you. You don't actually remember your first day of school very well. Oh, you think you do. You might have a clear image of walking through those doors, nervous and excited. You remember your mother's face as she waved goodbye, the smell of new crayons, the scratchy feel of new clothes. But if you really examine that memory, you'll notice something strange about its perfect clarity. It is too perfect, too complete, like a movie scene rather than a real experience from a 5-year-old's perspective. What you are really remembering is a collection of feelings from many first days, compressed into one perfect memory. Your first day of kindergarten, your first day at a new school, maybe even your first day of college. All the nervousness, excitement, and hope from those transitions have been woven together into one representative moment. Your mind is constantly editing your past, not to deceive you, but to give you something better than facts. It is giving you emotional truth, which is far more useful than a documentary record of what happened. This editing process happens continuously, without your awareness, like breathing or digesting food. Every time you recall a memory, you are not just accessing it, you are rewriting it slightly. You are adding new emotional information based on how you feel now, what you've learned since then. This is why the same memory can feel completely different depending on your current state of mind. When you are feeling confident, you remember yourself as braver in childhood situations than you probably were. When you are struggling, you might remember more fear and uncertainty than you actually felt then. Both versions are true because they reflect the emotional reality of that experience as filtered through your current understanding. Think about this. Why do you remember some random Tuesday from 3rd grade, but not your graduation speech? It is because that random Tuesday contained a feeling your brain decided was worth preserving forever. Maybe it was the first time you felt truly understood by a friend, or truly proud of something you created. Maybe it was the day you realized you could make people laugh, or the day you stood up to a bully. Your memory system doesn't care about the importance society places on events. It cares about emotional impact. Graduation speeches are supposed to be memorable, but they're often just performance anxiety and relief when it is over. That random Tuesday when your friend chose to sit with you at lunch instead of the popular kids, that is the day your brain flags as significant, because it contained new information about your worth as a person. This is why smell is such a powerful trigger for memory. Scents bypass your logical brain entirely. They go straight to the emotional center, where your real memories live, not as facts, but as feelings. When you smell your mother's perfume years later, you are not remembering specific moments with her necessarily. You are remembering the feeling of being mothered, of being someone's most important person in the world, the feeling of having your scraped knees kissed better, your nightmares chased away with gentle words, the feeling of being fed when hungry, comforted when scared, celebrated when proud. Your brain has collected thousands of moments of that feeling and distilled them into something you can carry. One whiff of that perfume, and your whole nervous system remembers what it felt like to be completely loved. This is more valuable than remembering the exact words she said on any particular day. Time doesn't work the way we think it does in memory. Past and present blur together constantly. When you remember being 5 years old, you are not actually accessing your 5-year-old brain with its limited vocabulary. You are using your current adult brain to reconstruct how it felt to be 5, adding words you didn't have then. This is why childhood memories often sound more poetic than a 5-year-old could actually be. You remember having profound thoughts about the nature of friendship or the meaning of fairness, but 5-year-olds don't think in those terms. They just feel the impact of kindness or cruelty. You are not lying or making things up. You are translating feelings into the language you have now. You are giving voice to experiences that were real but wordless when they happened. This translation process is one of the most beautiful things your brain does for you. It ensures that no meaningful experience is ever truly lost, even if you didn't understand it at the time. That moment when you were 7, and suddenly felt deeply sad watching your parents argue. Your 7-year-old brain couldn't articulate that you were witnessing the fragility of the love that kept your world stable, but your adult brain can honor that child's intuitive understanding by finding the words for what you felt. Your memory isn't broken when it does this. It is working exactly as designed, preserving what matters most. The feeling of wonder you had as a child was real. The specific details you attach to it might not be, but the feeling is what you need to carry forward, not the facts about what caused it. This is why people who had difficult childhoods can still access feelings of safety and joy. Their brains collected every moment of kindness, every glimpse of beauty, every second of feeling loved. These feelings become seeds for creating better experiences as adults, even if the facts of childhood were harsh. Your emotional memory is always working to give you what you need to heal and grow. You know that feeling when you are missing someone and every song seems to be about them. That is your emotional memory system doing what it does best, finding patterns that match your current feelings. But here's what is really happening. Your brain is actively reshaping your memories to make sense of your present experience. When you are heartbroken, you don't just feel sad about losing someone. You literally remember them differently. Your brain emphasizes all the memories that support your current emotional state while downplaying others. Suddenly, you remember every kind thing they ever did, every moment when they made you feel special. The arguments fade into the background. The incompatibilities become quirky differences rather than red flags. This isn't your memory playing tricks on you. This is your memory doing its job perfectly. It is updating your emotional database based on new information about what that relationship actually meant to you. When you were happy together, your brain emphasized the positive memories to maintain relationship satisfaction. Now that it is over, your brain might emphasize different aspects to help you process the loss. Neither version is more true than the other. They're both emotionally accurate for their respective moments. The version of your ex-partner that exists in your memory isn't the person they actually were. It is a collection of feelings you had about them, constantly being revised based on how you feel now. They were never just one person to you. They were dozens of different versions across different moments. The person who made you laugh until your stomach hurt. The person who forgot your birthday. The person who held you when you cried. The person who said that cruel thing during your last fight. Your memory keeps all these versions, but it highlights different ones depending on what you need emotionally. Right after a breakup, you might only be able to access the version who hurt you. Months later, you might only remember the version who loved you perfectly for those brief shining moments. Both are real. Both happened. Your brain is just helping you process different aspects of the loss. This is why closure is so important after a relationship ends. You need to update your emotional files. Without closure, your brain keeps the old version of the memory, the one where everything was perfect. It can't integrate the new information about why things ended, so it holds on to hope that feels increasingly painful. Closure doesn't mean getting answers from the other person. It means allowing your memory to include the full story. The love was real, and the ending was real, and both can exist in your emotional memory simultaneously. But even painful memories serve a purpose. They teach you what to look for, what to avoid. Your brain emphasizes the feelings that will help you make better choices in the future. This is why you can remember exactly how it felt to be betrayed, but not the exact words they said. The feeling is what protects you. The specific words are just noise your brain has filtered out. That sick feeling in your stomach when someone lies to you. Your emotional memory banks that sensation. Now, when you meet someone new and get that same feeling, your body knows to pay attention. Your logical brain might make excuses for red flag behavior, but your emotional memory keeps you safe. It remembers not just what happened, but how your body felt when it happened. When you sit alone at that metaphorical bus stop, waiting for someone who will never come again, you are not really waiting for them. You are waiting for the feeling they gave you to return somehow. The feeling of being chosen, of being someone's priority, of having your presence be a gift to someone else. But here is what is beautiful about this. The feeling they gave you is already inside you. It was never really about them. It was about your capacity to feel love, to be open, to hope. They were just the catalyst that showed you what you were capable of feeling. The warmth, the excitement, the sense of possibility, those feelings originated in you, not in them. They just provided the right conditions for you to access parts of yourself you might have forgotten existed. This is why you can miss someone and be grateful they're gone at the same time. You are missing the feeling, not the person, and feelings can be found again in new places. Your memory isn't keeping their ghost alive. It is keeping your ability to love alive. It is preserving proof that you are capable of deep connection, even when that connection didn't last. Every person who has loved you has left traces in your emotional memory that belong to you now. The way they made you feel brave enough to be yourself, that courage is yours to keep. The way they saw beauty in you that you couldn't see, that vision becomes part of how you see yourself. The way they made ordinary moments feel magical, that capacity for wonder belongs to you. They may have awakened these feelings, but they didn't create them. They were always part of you. Your emotional memory collects these gifts and weaves them into your sense of self. This is why losing someone doesn't mean losing everything they gave you. The feelings remain. They become part of your emotional vocabulary, your capacity for future love and connection. When you remember them, you are not just remembering a person. You are remembering who you became in their presence. And that version of yourself, the one capable of that depth of feeling that is not lost, that is not gone. Have you ever noticed how your memories work like dreams, where impossible things feel completely natural? In your memories, your childhood home is both tiny and enormous, depending on what the moment requires. The hallway that felt endless when you were sneaking to the kitchen at night was probably only 20 feet long, but your memory preserves both truths, the objective measurement and the subjective experience of vastness. Your grandmother is both the age you remember her and somehow timeless, existing outside the normal rules of aging. She is simultaneously the woman who taught you to bake cookies and the wise elder who gave you life advice. Even though these conversations might have happened decades apart, your memory holds them as one continuous presence. This dream logic isn't a bug in your memory system. It is the most sophisticated feature your brain has. It allows you to hold contradictory truths that would break a computer, but make perfect sense to your heart. In dreams, you can be both child and adult, both observer and participant, both safe and terrified. Your memories work the same way, holding multiple versions of reality that serve different emotional needs. This is why you can remember your father as both absent and present, both disappointing and heroic. Both versions can be true because they reflect different aspects of a complex relationship across time. Your brain doesn't force you to choose one narrative. It holds space for the full emotional truth. Your memories add details that weren't there. conversations that never happened, but should have, perfect weather for imperfect days. You remember heart-to-heart talks with your parents that sound like movie dialogue, profound and perfectly articulated. But most parent-child conversations are mundane, interrupted by daily life, full of, and what is for dinner? And every single addition is emotionally accurate, even when it is factually impossible. Your brain is giving you the conversation you needed to have, even if it never actually happened. You remember your father giving you advice he never actually gave, but that he would have if he'd known how. If he'd been more emotionally available, if he'd understood what you needed, if he'd had the words. Your memory creates the father you needed, not to deny the reality of who he was, but to heal the child who still lives inside you. You remember conversations with your grandmother that sound like poetry, even though she spoke in simple sentences, but her simple words carried complex love, and your memory translates that love into the language it deserves. When she said, "Eat something," your heart heard, "I want to take care of you, you matter to me." Your memory preserves the emotional truth of her simple words by giving them the weight they actually carried. Your brain is constantly improving your memories, not to lie to you, but to give you what you needed then. It is creating the past your heart required, even if reality couldn't provide it at the time. This is why adopted children sometimes have memories of biological parents they never met. Their brain creates what was missing, fills in the gaps with love where love should have been. These false memories aren't pathological. They're your mind's way of providing emotional completeness. They give you access to the feeling of being wanted and chosen, even if the facts tell a different story. This isn't pathological. This is your mind doing everything it can to help you survive and thrive. It is giving you a usable past, one that serves your emotional needs rather than just recording facts. A purely factual memory would be like living with only a news report of your life. But you need more than facts to make sense of your experience. You need meaning, connection, hope. Your memory system provides these things by weaving facts together with the feelings that give them significance. When objects in your memories seem to have faces, to be watching your life unfold with gentle concern, that is your brain acknowledging that everything in your childhood felt alive and aware because you were so alive yourself. The teddy bear that watched over you really was watching over you, in every way that mattered. It was a container for your parents' love when they couldn't be physically present to provide comfort. It was a bridge between your need for security and your growing independence. Your memory preserves this truth even as your adult brain knows it was just fabric and stuffing. Both things are true. It was just a toy, and it was your guardian. Memory holds both truths equally. This is the gift of human consciousness, the ability to live in multiple realities at once. Your logical brain knows what actually happened. Your emotional brain knows what it meant, and your memory weaves them together into something richer than either could be alone. This is why you can hold fond memories of difficult times, like being sick as a child. The fever was real, the discomfort was real, but so was the feeling of being completely cared for. Your memory emphasizes the warmth of extra attention, the special treats, the softness of being vulnerable and protected. It doesn't erase the physical discomfort, but it places it within a context of love and care. This selective emphasis isn't distortion, it is wisdom. It is your brain teaching you what matters most. The facts of what happened are just raw material. The meaning you make from those facts, that is where life happens. Your memory is constantly helping you find that meaning, even in experiences that seemed meaningless at the time. That boring summer afternoon when nothing happened, but you felt perfectly content watching clouds. Your memory preserves that as evidence that you are capable of finding peace in simple moments. That is not a small thing. That is a blueprint for happiness you can access anytime you remember how. So when you find yourself longing for a past that probably never existed exactly as you remember it, be gentle with yourself. You are not broken or delusional. You are beautifully, perfectly human. Your brain has spent your entire life trying to give you what you need to survive and thrive emotionally. It has edited your memories not to deceive you, but to provide you with emotional resources you can actually use. Your memories aren't photographs. They're love letters you wrote to yourself, signed by time. They're proof that you have always been capable of transforming raw experience into meaning, pain into wisdom. The feeling you are remembering, that sense of safety, of wonder, of being loved completely, was real. It may have lasted only moments in actual time, but those moments were real enough to build a life on. Your memory has preserved and amplified those feelings because they represent your emotional truth. They show you what you are capable of feeling, what you deserve, what you should keep reaching for. It lives in you now, not as a memory of something lost, but as a capacity for something that can be found again. When you remember feeling completely understood by a friend, you are not just accessing nostalgia. You are remembering your own capacity for deep connection, and that capacity is still part of you. When you remember feeling proud of something you created, you are not just missing childhood confidence. You are remembering that you are someone who can create things worth being proud of, and that hasn't changed. Your memories are showing you who you really are underneath all the self-doubt and adult complications. They're reminding you of your essential nature, the parts of yourself that remain constant across time. You are not remembering the past. You are remembering your heart's blueprint for what home feels like. And that blueprint, that is not lost. That is not gone. That is the most real thing about you. It is the map that will help you recognize home when you find it again, in new people and new places. It is the proof that you have always known what love feels like, even when love felt impossibly far away. Your emotional memory is not a museum of what was. It is a living guide to what still can be. Trust it. Honor it. Let it show you the way back to the feelings that make life worth living, because that is not remembering the past. That is remembering who you are.